Hello, I'm Chris Williams from Read Comics They're Bad For You, the name of my YouTube channel. Or if you're watching this on BitChute, the name of my BitChute channel is Comic Freak. Today we're going to be going over some articles that basically are doing nothing but, well, repeating the words that J.J. Abrams sprouted in that Esquire article. And we're going to look at that bit we already covered too to get an idea of what's going on with these new articles. Not the entire Esquire article, just some that I find relevant to this video. Esquire, over the last couple of years since The Last Jedi came out, I've been writing a lot about the response to that movie and some of that toxic fandom around Star Wars in this new era, and there are some fans who take issue with the filmmaking, other fans who take issue with some of the more progressive themes. I'm curious, how do you watch the response to Star Wars movies change in this new era compared to maybe the prequel series or how fans originally responded to them? And that's basically how every Shill article responds to JJ's interview he gave to that reporter. J. Abrams, I think that the biggest question is how has everything changed? The reaction to Star Wars, the increased attacks, the increased negativity, the fandom menace as they call it. You know that is not unique to Star Wars, obviously. And I think we live in a time where if you're not being divisive, if you're not creating something that's aversive clickbait, sometimes you don't quite feel like you're playing the game. I always loved Star Wars because it's got a huge heart. Did I always believe in and agree with every single thing that happened in every movie, whether it was the prequels or the original trilogy? No, but I do. I love Star Wars, yes. So for me, I hope, and I'm sure naively, we can return to a time where we give things a bit more latitude. We don't have to agree with every single thing to love something. I don't know anyone who has a spouse or a partner or any family member or any friend who loves and agrees with every single thing that that person is and does. We have to return, I think, to nuance and acceptance. Get ready to hear those words coming from JJ's mouth a lot coming up in these articles we're reading. Since 2015, The Force Awakens, the Star Wars franchise has endured a pocket of toxic fandom lashing out against new characters, subversion of the old lore, and feminism. It continued after Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, and now the director who restarted it all, J.J. Abrams, has addressed the issue with his final chapter of the sequel trilogy, The Rise of Skywalker, looming. When asked by Esquire what specifics changed with the property to warrant such a heated response at times, he said, I think that the bigger question is, how has everything changed? The reaction to Star Wars, the increased attacks, the increased negativity, the fandom menace as they call it, you know that is not unique to Star Wars, obviously. As I said, get used to those words we read from J. Abrams in that Esquire article. They're basically just repeating the same words over and over again, or just outright copying and pasting the Esquire article into their own articles. I mean, that's not that different from what I'm doing, but at least I'm more honest about it. But if you bring this up to any of these reporters, they'll just attack you for it. The director added, it's something the creative team should expect across Hollywood in general, and it does speak to being thought-provoking to fans set in their ways, and I think we live in a time where if you're not being divisive, if you're not creating something that's aversive, quirk bait, sometimes you don't quite feel like you're playing the game, he continued. Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tico, was driven off social media by fans, and numerous attacks have been directed to Rey for being a Mary Sue, but Abrams hopes fans can reach a middle ground. I always loved Star Wars because it's got a huge heart, he said. Did I always believe in and agree with every single thing that happened in every movie, whether it was the prequels or the original trilogy? No, but I do love Star Wars, yes, so for me, I hope, and I'm sure naively, we can return to a time where we give things a bit more latitude. Here we get him saying we should accept the bad movies he's giving us, but we're not going to do that, JJ. As I said, they're just repeating the Esquire article over and over again, but sometimes they're not just cutting and pasting it, they're just moving the words around and just calling it their own article, but it's basically the same thing over and over again. And they almost always end their article with the film arrives on December 20th or something to that effect. As Neurotic, which I'm taking his lead here on and basically doing something similar to what these people are doing, has said, these people are paid way too much for their work because they're not worth the $50 the companies pay them for it. I mean, honestly, this is just god-awful. I mean, they're just repeating J.J. Abrams' words, and they might as well be watching TV, because that's what it feels like with reading these guys. Now, the even newer articles are basically just doing the same thing, even though J.J. Abrams' interview was days ago. And this is one of the newer articles, but it's basically the same one over again. The bigger your franchise is, the more toxic your fans you attract. You know the kind, the ones who bully others for not being as into movies, show, game as you are, and whinge about SJWs as the reason something they haven't seen yet will definitely suck in a 4-hour-long YouTube analysis of a 2-minute trailer. The release of Star Wars The Last Jedi had one of the ugliest backlashes from toxic people who forced Kelly Marie Tran off social media and made a sexist edit of the film that cut out all the female characters. It shouldn't need saying, but not every person who disliked that movie is a toxic fan, just the ones who took it too far. As a longtime Star Wars fan and the director of the movie that is following up from The Last Jedi, how does J.J. Abrams respond to this culture of extreme negativity? Speaking to Esquire about the changing response to Star Wars in the social media, more progressive age, Abrams said, "I think the bigger question is, how has everything changed?" And we go through this bit again. The reaction to Star Wars, the increased attacks, the increased negativity, the fandom menace as they call it, you know that is not unique to Star Wars, obviously, and I think we live in a time where if you're not being divisive, if you're not creating something that's aversive, clickbait, sometimes you don't quite feel like you're playing the game. I always loved Star Wars because it's got a huge heart. Did I always believe in and agree with every single thing that happened in every movie? Whether it was the prequels or the original trilogy, no, but I do love Star Wars, yes. He added, so for me, I hope, and I'm sure naively, we can return to a time where we give things a bit more latitude. We don't have to agree with every single thing to love something. I don't know anyone who has a spouse or a partner or any family member or any friend who loves and agrees with every single thing that person is and does. Here again, we have yet another rewritten version of that Esquire article where J.J. Abrams once again says we should basically accept what Star Wars has become. No, J.J., we will not. We will not watch your Disney trilogy. Once again, the reporter used the same words of acceptance and tolerance for the Star Wars Disney trilogy, but something new does happen, sort of, where we have JJ speaking more specifically about The Last Jedi. Abrams said he found it fun to see the surprising things Rian Johnson did with the franchise while calling it amazing. How it didn't derail things he wanted to pursue in The Rise of Skywalker. But like Nerdrotic, who did make a comment on this particular piece of an article, basically J.J. Abrams is saying that he actually is horrendously angry at Rian Johnson for derailing everything he set up in The Force Awakens, and now he has to come up with some last-minute save or gambit that will make this movie a success, and he probably knows it's not going to work. Hey everyone, when I brought up Nerdrotic earlier, I wanted to make a point. What he does and what I do, what everyone in the Fandom Menace does, isn't that different from what these people do, but at least we're honest about it. We will cut up their videos and we will take their articles and make comments on it. That's not that different from what they do, but unlike them, we're not shilling for Disney. We just tell you our opinions on what they're doing and why they're wrong, at least in our own opinions, and we try to be as honest about it as possible. But these people, they constantly are dealing with agenda politics and basically trying to please Disney in hopes that this will lead to more work from Disney, as well as the hope that they'll be hired to work for CNN or the other kind of shilling media companies that are out there right now. Or I call them shilling companies because they're not news websites or news channels anymore. They are propaganda networks that do nothing but shill and propagandize the news for the corporations that hire them. And that's why we need to fight these guys and call out people like J.J. Abrams when they call us fascists or misogynists when we come out and call them out on their obvious shilling for these companies. Now, if you like this video, subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed because YouTube is going around unsubscribing people, especially now because they're doing another subscriber purge. So make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching my videos but you have not subscribed, please subscribe to me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, read comics, they're bad for you. Then go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel, Comic Freak. Hit that bell for notifications, hit that like button, and leave some comments down below. Please, if you could you share this video, share it on Twitter and share it on Facebook, share it anywhere you think it would do the most good, because YouTube is not going around promoting their own YouTube creators anymore, and it would really help me if you could please share this video. Now it's plug-in time again. Keep checking back in future videos for more information on my own upcoming independent comic book scumdogs. I'm Chris Williams, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another video or review.